As people under democratic leadership, we are entitled to exercise our right to vote. By voting, we are participating in the democratic process. We, as citizens, get to have the opportunity to vote for leaders to represent us and our ideas, while the leaders support the citizens' interests. In a democracy, votes are the ultimate currency of power. During the election campaigning period, political candidates get to conduct free and open discussions about who is a better representative, and in turn, which party will make a better government. And it is during this period that candidates get to have the chance to play dirty to ensure a bright future for their careers. One of these being the worldwide phenomenon, vote buying. Vote buying in its literal sense is a simple economic exchange. Candidates buy and citizens sell votes. It can take in various forms such as monetary exchange or exchange of goods and services. Vote buying has and will continue to be pervasive in many electoral regimes and will always continue to perpetuate corruption throughout the entire political system.
There are more consequences that come from vote buying than there are pros. Under Section 28, prosecution of vote buying and vote selling, those who buy or sell will be held liable and would be punished. A politician buying a vote is going to encourage corruption and would lead to an incompetent government, according to Young African Leaders Initiative 2017. Buying votes will also obstruct the democratic process, where the people should choose leaders through a free and fair electoral process. The person selling their vote would benefit more because they needed to fulfill their needs for their families. Section 28, prosecution of vote buying and vote selling states that any persons, otherwise guilty under said paragraphs, who voluntarily gives information and willingly testifies on any violation thereof in any official investigation or proceeding, shall be exempt from prosecution and punishment for the offenses with reference to which his information and testimony were given. Following it will help find corrupt politicians that buy votes and will be held liable for violating the election code.
Under the Batas Pambansa Bilang 881 Section 261 or the Omnibus Election Code of the Philippines, the law prohibits the people from committing vote buying in any way possible. Often misunderstood, vote buying is a two-way crime between any public or private office, person, association, or corporation that solicits votes through expenditures, directly and indirectly, and the ones who receive it in exchange for their votes or against any candidate. Even though the law does not clearly tolerate such actions and any person found guilty of the prohibited act shall be criminally liable and punished, there are still parties, especially politicians, that resort to vote buying when the political credibility of their campaign is low. While this electoral strategy may seem to be an advantage to both the politicians and voters, reality states otherwise. The politicians continue to thrive with their empty campaign promises, which will then be condemned by the public. And the voters experience short-term benefits and suffer a long-term problem, which is trying to live by the consequences of their actions, which is voting for the inept candidate only hungry for power. With this being a common knowledge, voters, although not all, lean more to those who are best suitable and avoid such crimes.
Church leaders have been saying no against vote buying. As stated by Pascual 2021, participating in vote buying is a sin against God and the law. Buying votes would create an unwritten contract between the buyer and the seller. Those who buy votes are using the money that is from the people of the nation, and they're using it to cheat their way to power. Vote buying is also a grave offense against the election code. According to reports from CNN Philippines 2019, vote buying is predominant among the Filipino poor. They find it hard to decline the offer because they need the money. Politicians exploit the people who need help by appealing to them and buying their votes. As Lingayen Dagupan Archbishop Socrates Villegas 2021 puts it, while selling votes is also a sin, it could be justifiable. if a person selling their vote needs to feed their family or needs it for other basic necessities, they should accept it. Furthermore, they do not have to commit to the decision that was imposed on them by the political candidate. They should vote for the person who they think deserves the vote instead.
From an academic societal perspective, vote buying obstructs the democratic process by interfering with the rights of the citizens to freely decide who will represent them and their interests. It is a means of enabling poor governance and diminishing citizens' ability to hold their elected officials accountable. This can result in the candidate with the most bought votes winning the election rather than the candidate who would best serve their people. And this in turn will affect us citizens of democracy the most. This is why this tactic holds the citizens at a great disadvantage. If political candidates see elections as a place of buying and gaining the most votes, there is no doubt that the same strategy will most likely be used in other areas of governance. As citizens, selling one's vote will not guarantee a secure future for the country, nor will it ensure the full integrity of the candidate one sold their vote to, hence putting utmost importance on choosing the right candidate fit for the position and voting wisely. Despite the major cons of vote buying, there are very little positive effects we can take from this in regards to society. For one, it can promote participation amongst the citizens and can lead to a higher competition between candidates when challengers can use it to counter the incumbency advantage. However, it would be a step too far to say that these imply that vote buying should be encouraged. Improved electoral competition can only help development within the society if there is a real policy accountability, and it is unlikely that vote buying helps policy accountability.
A research conducted by Canary et al. In 2018 discloses that vote buying among the poor is prevalent and has been targeted by campaign operatives. Voters with less income and more needs are taken advantage of their condition to buy their votes. Bribing them with materials such as shirts, umbrellas, etc. is most prevalent, followed by food and groceries. These also have the highest acceptance rates. Interestingly, monetary vote buying comes after these types as it perceives contradictory views, and receiving material things is considered more socially acceptable. However, monetary vote buying and other offers are more likely to occur and be accepted when elections are closer and closely contested. Moreover, the Institute of Philippine Culture of the Ateneo de Manila University in 2016 stated that one's vote is a reasoned and logical decision for poor voters. They view it from 5 various perspectives. First, it can be perceived as a blessing or a sort of assistance. Second is rightful money, which comes from the taxes paid or money they are deprived of because of corruption. The third is earned money, which is produced from negotiations and transactions. Fourth is accessible money, or easy money that can be spent for the family. And finally, dead money or irrelevant money. Researchers also argue that these voters have logical decisions and should not be regarded as bobotantes, considering their status. Rather, they are individuals who exercise their power when making decisions on voting.
Vote buying is the economic transaction between the candidates and the citizens, where candidates will provide material benefits to citizens in exchange for support in the elections. Although it benefits both parties, is it ethically or morally right? 5 ethical theories were used to assess if it is morally right or wrong: virtue ethics, deontology, social contract theory, utilitarianism, and Kantian ethics. Virtue ethics focuses on the person's character or self rather than the action done by that person. The person's character is excellent if their actions show virtues because these virtues are behaviors or character traits that governs one's actions. Vote buying violates fairness, honor, prudence, and honesty, which reflects that the politician doing this action is morally wrong based on this theory. Unlike virtue ethics, Kantian ethics focuses on the action itself to identify if it is morally right or wrong. Vote buying does not only interfere with the rights of the citizens to vote freely, but the intention of the candidate is also morally wrong, as it is for their own benefit. Thus, vote buying is immoral according to this ethical theory. Utilitarianism, on the other hand, focuses on the outcomes of the action and chooses the choice for the greater good. Although voters will receive benefits, these benefits can only be short-term, and they will be given more problems that can last long and suffer the consequences of these actions, while politicians are thriving and neglecting their campaign promises. With this in mind, vote buying is ethically wrong in the utilitarianism view. For deontology and social contract theory, these theories say that people must follow a set of rules in order to live morally. There is a contract such as laws, contracts, and rules that people agree to follow. Therefore, we can say that vote buying is ethically wrong in both of these theories because there is a law, namely the Batas Pambansa bilang 881 section 261, stating that vote buying is prohibited and should not be done by all means. So, is vote buying ethically or morally right or wrong? With the assessments above, it is clear that vote buying is morally and ethically wrong, as it violates the principles of these ethical theories. There are virtues violated by the action which says about the person's character, and the action itself is morally wrong, as the intentions of it are just for the politician's own benefit. The outcomes of these actions will affect the citizens and cause many problems that can last longer than the politician's term. There is a law stating that vote buying is prohibited by all means, therefore it should be followed by all as it is for the common good.